that feta is. So it's not just a mind in a questioning mode, but it's really that uncertainty about what is the path to liberation, what's the path to enlightenment, what's the path, the means whereby the heart can genuinely be free. So I feel that's helpful to understand that that's the second feta, and then the breaking of that feta is that going, what we call into Buddhist jargon, getting beyond doubt. It's not just being decisive about what you want for breakfast or your routine. Getting beyond doubt is knowing what the path is. It's like you have got an inner certainty, a familiarity as a knowing. Just like when you put a pair of shoes, you put your shoes on, you know they fit. It's not. There's no doubt about it. It's not conceptual. It's not theoretical. You know these shoes fit. So that going beyond doubt, in terms of that second feta, is knowing what the path is, and and the way of describing it, I feel that the probably the best way of say summarizing what that path is and what needs to be understood in relationship to that was the dialogue or the Dhamma talk that the Venerable Ajahn Mun gave when Ajahn Chah was a young monk in his wandering years. So Ajahn Chah had been a bhikkhu for about 9 or 10 years by this time. It was in Luang Pu Man's latter years, and Ajahn Chah had gone to see him at where he was living. Luang Pu Man was living at Wat Nong Pur, I think, in Sakonnakorn province. And Ajahn Chah only stayed with him for 3 days, but it was a very illuminating and powerful period. And he described how the different teachings that Luang Pu Man gave during that period. And I think it was on the third evening, the last day he was there, when this particular teaching that Luang Pu Man gave, which was that he said there is necessarily a quality of awareness, a quality of knowing that is transcendent of the 5 khandhas, that is liberated from the 5 khandhas of the body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, consciousness, the 5 groups or the 5 sections of experience: the material form, the body, rupa, and then the mental groups of feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. So there's a quality of knowing, of awareness that is transcendent of the 5 khandhas. If there wasn't, liberation would be impossible. If every kind of knowing, every kind of cognition or awareness was within the 5 khandhas, was something that was impermanent and unsatisfactory, then liberation would be impossible. Enlightenment would be impossible. There couldn't be a Buddha. There couldn't be an enlightened, liberated being. But because we knowing there are enlightened beings, and because of his
whiteboard. Yeah, it's a whiteboard. I think it's because of the color. Do you want to see what it does? You can write on it and then erase stuff. Yeah. Are you texting Connor? Oh no, Connor and I haven't spoken in ages. This is Marco.
Marco?
Yeah. I don't know, he's...
Wait. Hold the phone, stop the clock, shoot the puck. What? How did I miss this? Oh my god, don't say anything. I need a drink. We have to celebrate. I can continue. Okay, so, well, we've only been talking for like 2 weeks.
Oh, he moves fast, this Marco.
He is just the sweetest. He sends me good morning texts. I've never had good morning texts.
feel like the bar has gotten very low.
And he constantly tells me that I'm beautiful.
Wow.
And he's such a good texter. And he always says, I'm lucky to be with you.
Well, that's not true.
And he wants to go on a couples trip.
Holy shit.
I know. It's like it's almost too good to be true.
I would just take the almost out of that sentence.
You think it's too good to be true?
Do bears wear funny hats? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Where does this guy work? West Elm?
I don't get that.
Oh, you had to be there.
Look, the last text he sent was, I want to wake up beside you.
See, that should have been a red flag right there because you look like roadkill when you wake up. And your breath makes me want to vomit. And if he knew you at all, he would not have written that.
Why can't you let me have nice things? I finally found someone who loves me for me.
Have you met him yet?
No. Not yet, but, you know, we already have such a deep connection. Don't, me. You're all high and mighty. You think you know everything. Why can't you let me be happy for once?
He's a love bomber.
A what?
A love bomber. It's like the Unabomber, but with romantic gestures instead of explosive packages.
I still don't follow.
Hold on. Okay. Basically, it's a person who selfishly pursues someone with the goal of acquiring them to boost their own ego. So he wants me. No, not at all. Okay, love bombers, they drone strike you with romantic gestures. It's a ballistic missile of attention that lands on your whole and sets your whole village afire, and then you have to flee, and you can only leave with the clothes on your back, and then you have to trudge through this muddy area. And there's a tree here.
You got lost in the analogy.
Yep.
So, for him, it makes him feel good, but for me,
Well, it feels real until you realize that he's not serious about anything that he's saying.
you think he's gonna ghost me.
100%.
How is this even a thing?
Well, it's actually pretty advanced stuff. It's kind of cool when you think about it. So, originally the fuckboy was king, right? He was a bad boy who said all the things he needed to say to get what he wanted, and he rose to the top. But then the women got wise to the fuckboy, so he had to evolve. He adapted. He mutated into a new variant, if you will.
Too soon.
Now, this is the love bomber, and he says all the things he needs to say. He makes promises that he can't promise, and then he disappears when he's had a spell. It's just like a mosquito that's all plumped up.
And you think this is Marco?
I know this is Marco.
How?
Did you see the diagram?
He made me a playlist.
Is it the one that starts with Usher's Confessions Part 2?
Yeah.
That'll be the one. Yeah, he sends that one out a lot.
I thought he made it really fast. It had like a 5-minute turnaround, and I was like, damn, this is a really eclectic mix of songs with a great through line. Damn it! It sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more advanced, contagious variant. I mean, we definitely need a vaccine, if not a booster, and then
No.
maybe another
No,
booster.
can you stop with the COVID comparisons?
But I had such a good hydroxychloroquine metaphor.
No, you didn't. No, I didn't.
Regardless, Marco gets left on red.
Marco gets left on red. Can we listen to the playlist now? It's actually really good.
It feels like the song order tells a story. It's like the comparison between new and old. It keeps me vibing, but then also like picks me up when it needs to. 100%.
Huge thank you to today's sponsor.
On May 21st, 2017, Ringling Rose Circus performed its final show, shuttering after 146 years of bringing joy to children and unrelenting torment to animals. The show celebrated all that had made Ringling Rose so entertaining. Acrobatics, human pyramids, stupid hats, animal abuse, whatever this is, and of course, this secret illegal spy agency the circus ran from 1988 to 1998. Our story begins in 1981. The Reagan administration hated socialism a lot, so much so that the CIA decided to sell weapons to the Iranians and use the money to fund a group of Nicaraguan anti-socialist rebels called the Contras. The CIA was so proud of the plan that they decided to lie to Congress a bunch about it, leading to several people going to jail, including this guy, Claire George, who before being a person who was in jail had been the chief of covert ops and third highest ranking member of the CIA. For no good reason at all, George was pardoned, and then was faced with a question. What's a disgraced newly pardoned ex-CIA official with a stack of legal bills taller than an abused African elephant supposed to do? Well, why not join the circus? And so he did, with circus head honcho Ken Feld initially hiring George to use his diplomatic connections to help him acquire a panda that he could show to people in his big weird tents, though their partnership soon grew until Claire George was running what can only be described as a secret circus spy agency. The agency didn't have an official name, but court filings have referred to it as the John Doe Company, and while we only know so much about what the agency did, because as anyone who runs a secret circus spy agency knows, the secret part is really important, what we do know is absolutely bonkers. For starters, over a 10-year period, the John Doe Company managed to insert at least 16 secret agents into various activism organizations who were of the outrageous opinion that animal abuse is bad. PETA, PAWS, and the Elephant Alliance were all infiltrated by agents who rose through the ranks and stole thousands of documents, including bank information, credit card numbers, personal medical records, and even a list of all PETA contacts, all of which were used to sabotage fundraising and demonstrations and reduce membership. At one point, agents broke into the executive director of PETA's home and office to take surveillance photos. One agent became so trusted that they accompanied the executive director of PAWS to testify in front of Congress. And perhaps my favorite, another agent attempted to convince the deputy director of PETA to steal Ringling Rose animals as a protest with the intent of arresting them afterwards, which he sadly didn't do because it would be a perfect premise for Ocean's 14. The John Doe Company also bugged and wiretapped their own circus employees, often to bully them into abandoning workers' comp claims, but I don't have time to talk about that because I have to tell you about the most incredible, insane project the agency ever pulled. Project Preempt. First, some backstory. In addition to being Ken Feld's dad, Irvin Feld was a gay man, which is cool, but Irvin didn't seem to feel like it was all that cool and remained closeted his whole life, leading to his wife Adele eventually killing herself, reportedly because she was so distraught over her husband not seeming attracted to her, which I guess to be fair, he wasn't because, as I mentioned, he was gay. It's a sad story, but also a pretty interesting one, which is why a woman named Janice Potker wrote an article about both that and the Feld's family non-gay but nefarious business dealings for a local business magazine in 1990. Potker soon grew interested in writing a whole book about the Felds, and so both to prevent the damaging book from coming out and to apparently get revenge on Potker for saying his dad was gay, Ken Feld had Claire George run an 8-year operation to sabotage not only the book, but Potker's whole career. A man named Robert Ehringer was dispatched to pose as a fellow writer, befriend Potker, and gain her trust, which he did easily because writers are lonely and desperate for connection. At first, things started simple. Ehringer would find out where Potker was pitching her book or articles about the circus, and then the circus would dispatch agents to convince the publications that Potker was a lunatic who couldn't be trusted, which wasn't that hard seeing as it was the 90s and calling women crazy was super duper trendy. But Potker wouldn't give up on her circus book, so Ehringer was then ordered to convince Potker to consider writing a different book, not about the Feld family, but about the Mars Candy family. Then Ehringer got her a, and I'm putting this in massive air quotes, book deal with the little-known National Press Books. The reason for the air quotes is that the advance for this book deal was actually secretly being paid by the circus solely to distract Potker from writing the circus book. The trouble was, the book Potker wrote on the Mars family was quite good and starting to get some buzz. So, solely out of spite, the circus instructed the publisher not to pay the $300 they owed the book's photographer, which led to the book committing copyright infringement and quickly being pulled from all shelves. There was also a second fake book deal, this time co-written by Ehringer, that Ehringer sabotaged by intentionally writing his chapters really poorly, and also, just by the way, failed attempt to hire a bodybuilder to goad Potker into an affair that would ruin her marriage. Eventually, Potker found out everything and sued, and I'm running out of time here, but I simply have to tell you about how the beans got spilled. Okay, so there was a guy named Charles Smith, a top executive at the circus, and he thought his girlfriend, who also worked for the circus, was cheating on him. So he bugged her house and office, and then one day he told his assistant to destroy the tapes of her, and also, unrelatedly, to return her car to her house. The assistant misunderstood and returned the tapes of the girlfriend to the girlfriend, who called the cops, and then Smith got fired and then sued the circus and revealed all of this, which is how Parker and Peter found out, and then how I found out, and now how you found out. And that, my friends, is why they call it the greatest show on Earth. Meanwhile, I have pretty specific thoughts about what's the best dinner on Earth. I don't think it's delivery because it's expensive and slow and unhealthy, and usually by the time it...